everyone, today I want to talk about diversity in young adult books. It's a very big discussion point right now, and I thought I would just put in my 2 cents. I will just be talking about racial diversity in this video. I have a few other videos about LGBTQ and religious diversity in the future, but this one is just about race. So some people don't think that racial diversity is really needed in young adult books, or they think there's enough of it already because they can name like 2 books with African American protagonists. But really there isn't much of it compared to the number of books that are written about white American characters. The problem is plenty of people grow up without ever having read a book or watched a movie featuring someone of their race. Some people say you don't have to be the same race as someone in order to relate to them, and while that is sometimes true, everybody should have the right to see and read about someone that is the same race. It's not about relating, it's about having the right to walk into a bookstore and see a book with an African American character on the cover, or a Jamaican character, or an Asian American character, or someone like that. And it's kind of weird that so many people are opposed to this idea, because I mean the people who are opposed, it's not going to affect them in any way. What are they afraid of? Of people realizing that there are others like them? I honestly don't understand. Like, if you don't want to read books about non-white characters, then just go on living in your bubble. That's fine. That's your problem. But there are a lot of people who don't feel that they're represented equally, and that's a problem. And on top of all this, racial diversity can only lead to good things. We'll only become more socially aware. So now I'm going to recommend some diverse books, and I will link all of the Goodreads pages for all of these books in the description so you can read more about them if you feel like it. The first one is Monster by Walter Dean Myers. This is about a 16-year-old African-American boy who was put on trial for murder that he did not commit. It talks a lot about racism in the justice system and how bias can come into play even if it's pretty obvious that someone is not guilty. Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon is about a girl who has this illness where she can't go outside because she's pretty much allergic to everything, and this girl happens to be a person of color. Unlike Monster, this book isn't about race, it's just this girl happens to be a person of color, and Nicola Yoon, the author, is from Jamaica, which is also really cool. It's a great and really enjoyable book. The Wrath on the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh is written by an Asian American woman, and it is a fantasy book, but it's pretty diverse in itself. It's a retelling of 1001 Nights, wherein this girl volunteers to be the caliph's new wife. He takes a wife every night and he has her killed the next morning, and this one girl volunteers because the caliph has just killed her best friend, and so she decides that she is going to get revenge and kill the caliph, and she is going to do that by telling him a story every night to keep him engaged. It's a really fun book, and it's a fantasy if you're not looking for something more contemporary. Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson is about Jacqueline Woodson's own experiences growing up in the South in the 60s and then moving to New York and dealing with a lot of racism. It's written in verse and I really enjoyed it, even though verse isn't really my thing, but this one deals a lot with race. Like, this one is about race, whereas Everything in The Wrath and the Dawn aren't. In Darkness by Nick Lake takes place in Haiti right after the Haitian earthquake that happened a few years ago, and it is also about someone who led a slave revolt about 200 years earlier, I believe. I haven't read this one. It's on my list. I'm really looking forward to reading it, but I've heard great things. The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. I read this one probably middle school, maybe like freshman year of high school. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to be rereading it for a class later this semester. It's really funny from what I remember. It has some little drawings in it, so that's a lot of fun. And it's a very quick and engaging read. And it's just about a Native American teenager who lives on a reservation. The last recommendation I have is Sold by Patricia McCormick. I also have not read this one, but from what I understand, it's about a girl from Nepal who his family is in some financial trouble, so she is sold off to work in a brothel. Heard great things about this too. I think it's won multiple awards, and it's on my list to read soon. I'll also leave a link down below to the Coretta Scott King Award. Coretta Scott King was Martin Luther King Jr.'s wife, and she was an activist for racial equality, and there is a book award in which they name, I believe it's primarily like children's and young adult books that they give this award to, so I will leave a link to that down below so you can look at the list of winners and nominees and everything and get some more good ideas. So that's everything I have today. Yeah, we need more diversity, and I'm not sure what the holdup is. I just can't process that. I understand that there are racists out there and there are people who just don't think that we need more racial diversity, but it can't hurt. I mean, honestly, it's not gonna hurt to just have more diverse books. If you have anything to add to this discussion, I'd love to hear it. But anyway, thank you for watching, and again, I will be posting some more diversity videos in the future. Bye!